opposed to whatever 112 it is right now.
Yeah. So it just makes a little bit of a difference. It's funny because I went for a walk maybe Tuesday or Wednesday morning after a lot of rain came through, and I was telling him that it was like 78 degrees out and it almost felt chilly because it's been so hot.
Yes. And it's 107, not 112. I was apparently overestimating. Although I was having a conversation earlier this week with opposing counsel in one of a case I'm handling. And he lives somewhere where there's still snow on some of the mountains.
Can we move there?
No. And we were talking about heat. And when I was talking to him, I think it was 109. And I was like, look, whether it's 101 or 112, like, it really doesn't matter. Once you get above triple digits, I have never really noticed a difference.
Yeah, unless it's hot enough to literally cook us. I don't know that it's going to make much of a difference at that point. It's just hot. Oh, I forgot to turn the fans off, so that's probably a weird humming noise. Wrong one.
Nice work. So
we've lived here how long, and I forget which ones are the lights and which ones are the fans.
So I have a couple things I want to talk about because of some things that have come up over the past week or so. So one of the things that we hope you all like is that we try to be as accessible as possible, meaning that we try to tell you everything that's going on without trying to hide anything. And as you all probably know, we launched the 14-inch last weekend, and it was our goal to launch the trim lock at the same time. The only businesses I have run prior to today, or prior to helping my wife with So Be It Quilts, were service professions, right? Lawyer stuff, IT stuff, investigations, training, things of that nature. I have never been in charge of a company that has products, and I completely underestimated the amount of time it would take to launch a product and to fulfill orders and things of that nature. So the trim lock is still not ready simply because we have been completely busy making slide locks. So that's completely my fault, and if I got anyone's hopes up that the trim lock would be released, I completely apologize. It's squarely on my shoulders. I didn't know what I was doing with regard to thinking I could launch 2 new products at once. So I'm going to continue working on it. The goal is to get it as soon as possible. I don't have a deadline at this point, and I apologize for that because I know some people are excited, want it, but that's completely my fault. And I didn't want to keep coming here and making excuses as to why it wasn't launching. I just haven't had time. And so that's where we are on that. I apologize, but we wanted to be open and honest about what was going on with it. And it will be ready as quickly as we can do it and make sure it's a product that we are comfortable putting our name on. So I wanted to get that out of the way. So if anyone has questions about the trim lock, you can feel free to email us and I will answer them. But the moral of the story is me, thought that I could do multiple things at once, and apparently I'm not very good at that. So I will get it done as quickly as I can, I promise. I just haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. Number 2, so we are limited in the shipping companies we can use for deliveries simply because Shopify's platform has several options, and we use all the options they have. FedEx isn't currently an option, although I'm trying to work and get FedEx as an option. Based on what pricing that FedEx has given to me, it's more expensive than UPS and USPS, so even if it becomes an option, I don't know that it'll be one that is chosen all that often. But we are being hit with some sort of really ridiculous fees, sometimes with UPS and USPS. We're not passing them on to you, but, as an example, I had a fight with UPS last week about someone who ordered a package and wanted it delivered to the main office of her apartment because she didn't want it to be delivered directly to her apartment because she didn't want it to get stolen. So she listed the address for the apartment complex, expecting that the package would be delivered to the main office. UPS decided that they wanted to, try and get more money for their services, because I'm sure they're hurting for business. And when they went to deliver it to the main office, they asked for the apartment number. They got the apartment number. They delivered it to the apartment against the wishes of the customer, and then charged us $5 for the privilege of having them update the address with the apartment number. Now I fought with them, and we were able to get the money back, but they've done that multiple times for different reasons. So when you are inputting your address for shipping, please do your best to make sure it is 100% accurate, because UPS can charge up to $18 per address change. And apparently, I went online and looked at some forums. They do it quite a bit when there's any reason for them to do so. I saw on the forums that someone had spelled, and I don't remember what the name of the street was, but let's call it Sunnyside. And they misplaced, rather than misplaced, they spelled it with one N instead of two. And UPS claimed that that was an address correction and charged them a bunch of money. USPS does the same thing, simply because they feel like they can. So in order to help us help you in that the packages get delivered on time and they're not delayed, please make sure the addresses are correct. I had an issue today where there was a package that I sent to Salt Lake City that got to Salt Lake on Wednesday, just got delivered today to Salt Lake, because the address that the customer provided, which was an accurate address, didn't match what UPS had in their system, even though the address has existed for 20 years. So it's just things like that. So, I'm not complaining that anyone has done anything wrong, but to the extent you can, please make sure that when you enter your address, you do so as accurately as possible, so that your packages don't get delayed. Because in this particular instance, the package should have been delivered on Thursday, and it was for someone who is leaving out of town tomorrow, and because of this whole snafu, there was a possibility that the package wasn't even going to get delivered on time. Luckily, we were able to sort it out. But I don't like having to deal with UPS and USPS when they're being silly. And the easiest way to avoid that is for everyone to enter information as clearly and accurately as possible. The other thing is, some people have asked us to do a review on blades, for rotary cutters. We are happy to do it, but I would really like if people could give us some recommendations for blades they like, so we can test them, because when I went online to look at blades, there are literally hundreds of different types, and not just, right, there's regular blades, there's titanium blades, and I know titanium is supposed to be better, but even then there's hundreds of brands of titanium blades. So, thanks, Liz. I will try. I've looked into Pirate Ship. They're just more expensive for us for whatever reason. But yes, we would love to do a video on blades, but please either put in the comments or email me or us with the blades that you think we should try, and we will get them and try them, because I would love to find the best blade that I can. And that's all I have for now. I have one other thing, but we'll talk about it in a few minutes when you do your stuff.
So I just wanted to let you know, just in case you didn't see it, that the video went up for the collab on the quilt that I did with Sew Becca and Chris from Sew the Distance. So that is my finished quilt. That video is up, and we also did a live, if you missed it, on Becca's channel. So if you missed that, it would be fun for you to go check it out. That video, well, not video, but that live was a lot of fun. I thought we all had a bunch of fun on that live on her channel. And so my video is up, and I show how to put together this quilt, and Chris's video went up yesterday about her quilt. Her quilt turned out so amazing. So you can check hers out, and then I'll update when Becca's goes up, because I know she's kind of doing some stuff with getting hers quilted and all that. So I believe Beth from I think it's Goody Goods is her channel. I always get it confused because y'all know I'm horrible with names and all of that. But I think she is quilting Becca's quilt. So I think she's going to wait to get all that done to get hers up. So that will be a lot of fun to check out too. But like I said, mine is up if you missed it, and Chris is up if you missed hers.
Oh, hey, Chris. She's in the chat.
Hi, Chris.
And Shannon, I just emailed you. Yes, I did get your file. I will work on it this weekend and Monday and let you know how it goes.
Hopefully, you mean, right? Hopefully.
No, like, I'm going to get that done. Because she and I have been talking about that for like a week now. So, one other thing I wanted to go over, and, you know, maybe we need to do a better job about explaining the slide lock. But I received an email earlier this week from someone who was essentially saying that they were having a hard time using the slide lock because the hand that they were holding the slide lock with was getting in the way of their hand holding the rotary cutter. And I think that stems from not knowing how to use it properly. Again, I think I said this last week or the week before. I'm not a basketball player, so I don't have like the biggest hands in the world, but my hands are larger than average. I wear an extra large glove for pretty much anything. I tried to sneak into a large glove a couple months ago because my daughter and I went to Minnesota for soccer, and it was snowing the entire time there, and all the store had were large gloves, and they did not fit. So I think my hands are probably larger than most of yours. And I have absolutely no problem whatsoever using the slide lock. And so I think what happens is, you know, if you're used to using a ruler.
And one thing we're going to do, and let us know what you all think of it, is we're going to start adding some business cards that have
No, go ahead. You just keep it there.
That have some links to videos that I'm going to do to show how to use them, because I know some people are ending up probably on there from word of mouth and everything getting the slide lock and haven't seen any of the tutorials we did. So we're thinking of putting a business card in all of the boxes that have links to the tutorials for both sizes of the slide lock, just so you can see how to use them. So let us know if you think that would work. I know like maybe QR codes we were thinking of using, but let us know if you like using them, because we could also type out the links to them too, or have both. So let us know what you think would work best, and if that's even a good idea to how to go about making sure that everyone knows how to use them really well.
So I think what is happening is, and I'm going to move this out of the way for now, is when you are used to using a regular ruler, right? You line your ruler up, and I'm going to do this sloppily because I'm not going to cut it, but you would line your ruler up and you put your hand down. Now, again, my hand's bigger than most, but you know, so for me, my fingers will come off the edges, but let's say I put them here. You hold your hand down here, and your hand is relatively close to the edge because it has to be in order for you to maintain pressure to make sure this doesn't move. And so I think a lot of people are used to having their thumb, and it's probably really stupid of me to do, tap that, but the blade's closed and it's locked. So people are used to having their thumb here. Now, with the slide lock, you don't have to worry about that because you line this up, right? First of all, and again, I'm not sure how these hands ever really get all that close to each other. If you are a person who is holding the slide lock and trying to get your thumb on the acrylic here because you feel like that's going to give you better pressure, you don't need to do that. And that could be a situation where you're, you know, putting yourself at risk of having your hands rubbed together. Now, there's two reasons I would recommend not doing that. One, not only is a slide lock a device that allows you to cut more accurately, but it's also really a safety device. It allows you to cut safely and not have to worry about cutting your fingers off, which if I were to cut enough, I probably would. I've already sanded off one of my fingers because I was being stupid. But it grew, surprisingly, it literally grew back. The doctor did not think it would, but that's a story for another day. So again, with someone with larger than average hands, I can use this without ever having my hands come in place because I use the pad of my thumb, and my left hand is my bigger hand. So really this would be the one that would get in the way. I use the pad of my thumb and I put it right on the patented thing, the name where it says patented, push down, and that's all the pressure you need. And I could really just do it with my thumb if I really wanted to be silly and say, look, you don't have to get anywhere near this. And this is more than enough pressure. But I just use the pad of my thumb because it's more secure for me and it feels better. But there's no situation in which I'm ever really going to be where my hands are rubbing up against each other. And again, I have larger hands than normal. So if I can do this without my hands getting in the way, I don't think anyone else should be having issues with their hands getting in the way unless they're holding it, if you're using your index finger and putting it on the top here and having your thumb out here. But that's something I wouldn't recommend anyway because you're just going to risk cutting yourself. So if you're having issues with your hands getting in the way, I would suggest trying to either just use your thumb like this so that there's no possible chance your hands run into each other, or, like I do, use the pad of your thumb and hold it down, and your hand can stay completely out of the way while you're cutting, and you don't have to worry about your hands running into each other. If for some reason you have massively larger hands than I do and your hands are getting in the way, I'm not really sure how to solve that problem at this point, but I think for the vast majority of users, you should be able to cut without having your hands get in the way. If anyone has questions about how to use this, please email us. My wife has a couple of videos that talk about this, but I just wanted to go over it again because only 2 people have reached out to me with issues saying that their hands are getting in the way, but I wanted to address it in case there were other people that may be having the same issue and sort of putting it out there for everyone to sort of see how this works. So I just wanted to go over that and show you how I would use it. So hopefully that helps you understand how to use this, not just as a cutting device, but also as a safety device to keep your hands out of the way.
So let me show you how I measure and cut with it, because something else I wanted to mention too, next week I have a video coming up where I am putting together a patriotic quilt. So I'm using red, white, and blue fabric, and that was what I was up here working on. So that is why this fabric is down, because I was about to get ready to start cutting it, and then I realized the time. So I think Deidre asked how I cut 2.5 inches using it. So I'll go ahead and show that because that is actually what I needed from this red fabric anyway. All right, so what I do is I use 2 rulers, and I'll line up the, say, 2.5 inches, and you can line up whatever, measurement you would need, but I'm going to line up the 2.5 inches, and hopefully this didn't get it moved around too much, because I actually did square it up and everything and had it ready to go. So I'll hold this in place, and then I slide the slide lock up against where I'm going to be cutting, so the edge of the ruler I just measured with, and I'll press down, and I move the other ruler out of the way just so I don't have to worry about hitting it, and then I'll just cut along here. And you don't have to use a lot of pressure on here at all. So then I have my strip. Now if you want to subcut this down, because your pattern, mine is going to be using strips, but if you need a different measurement, you could just lay it out in the other direction and subcut it down with either this ruler or the smaller one that we have. So the smaller is the 14 inch, and I don't even know where the camera is anymore. But so I don't use the mat. I use 2 rulers, one with measurements on it and then the slide lock. I know some people say not to use your mat. I feel like if you're using the same ruler or the same mat to get all of your cuts, even if your mat isn't a true inch or doesn't have the measurements right, if you're using the same measurement device to get all your cuts, I feel like it's going to be accurate for you because you're using the same thing to measure all of it. I don't like using my mat because it's harder for me to see all the lines and feel lined up right, because if I need to get 1/2 inch marks or 1/4 inch marks, they're harder to see on my mat and easier on my ruler, so I just try to use the same ruler all the time. So hopefully that makes sense and hopefully that helped.
I'm just going through the chat. Okay, so it sounds like a lot of people like the idea of QR codes. There are some people who can't use them, so we'll probably just do both.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because sometimes, like, my phone won't want to scan some and they're like scans others really easy. So I think it would probably be a better way to go just to make sure everybody can use them if needed.
Deidre asked a question that I'm going to defer to you because I don't know what a stripology ruler is. But she says, have you tried with a stripology ruler to hold the ruler flat?
I have not, I don't even have the stripology ruler because I know how my brain works and I'm not going to be able to do math fast enough to cut really fast like I see people doing when they're using that ruler. So I haven't used it. So I don't know. I haven't tried using this to hold down another ruler. But that would be interesting to see if it worked, but I don't have one to try. There was something I wanted to ask too.
Oh, sorry. That's my work phone.
You're supposed to be working today?
Well, I don't know. Let me go answer this. I'll be right back.
So yeah, I haven't, maybe somebody in the chat has a stripology ruler and could answer. I haven't, I don't have one though to know. Let me shut that door because probably still hear that call. Sorry, I'm back. But I wanted to know too, for those of you who have the ruler and have been using it and cutting it, do you like to just use your thumb on it or do you put kind of the pad of your, let me show you, the pad of your like thumb here down, just your thumb, or how do you like to rest on it? Because I'm curious as to how most people are putting their hand on it. I started trying to put more of my pointer because I would put my whole hand down on my ruler before, but now I kind of moved to, I like using the pad. I tried using just my thumb, but I don't know, it doesn't feel as comfortable to me. So I'm just curious what all you are like to doing. But I'm gonna cut a few more of these strips since I need them for the pattern I'm doing. And does anybody want to guess what kind of design I'm doing? If I'm doing a quilt with stars or like a flag. Tracy did, and I need to change my blade out clearly. Tracy from the sewing channel recently did a flag and I absolutely love hers, but I'm curious to know what everybody might be hoping for a design. And I can get these cut pretty quickly, even though I'm using the two rulers to line up, because normally I would just have to line up this one and cut, but I can still go through pretty fast now that I got used to it. And let me know also if you are using the two ruler method with the slide lock or if you're using your mat to get your measurements. And if you found that using the mat is accurate still for you. So Linda, you use the pad of your thumb. Yeah, I find that too because I'm used to putting more of my hand on the ruler, so using the pad of my thumb makes it a little more comfortable in what I'm used to. Closer to what I'm used to with putting how I'd put my whole hand down. I really need to change out this blade. And I need to look and see what these are because I feel like we just changed it last week for that Rotary blade video. I guess it was maybe 2 weeks ago, but I feel like it was just changed for that video. And it's like barely cutting through all this. I feel like I go through so many, that one's not long enough. I feel like I go through so many Rotary blades and it gets dulled down. So I'd be curious of what people think of different brands and what might be good and not. All right, let me see. So flag. Oh, you think that just putting your thumb, you can put a little more pressure? I don't know. I guess, yeah, because you can use the weight of your hand to come down too. Oh, that's really smart to put the date on the blade so that you know when you changed it. I know, because I'm thinking it may have been longer ago than I thought when I changed it. And I feel like I always think that, though. Like, with the needle on my machine, I think I changed it recently and then I really didn't. And because I try to change it out after I finish a big project, and that almost never happens. So then I switched to trying to change it out whenever I clean under and get all the lint out of my sewing machine. But I feel like my needle stays in there forever because I never remember when to change it. And I know I saw some people talk about how they have like a little kind of spreadsheet where they keep track of when they change everything, and I'm not that organized. I'm not that person. Sherry, was that you emailed the brand of Rotary blades that you found on Amazon? I'll have to look for that. I appreciate it. I think one that I want to get is Olfa. I felt like they dulled pretty fast, but I do wonder if they, you know, like if I just didn't pay attention to how long I had it in. So I want to see how sharp they are to start with, and then kind of put down when I used it and how much I cut with it, or at least try to, so that I can get a better, like, because when you cut with any of them for the first time, I feel like they all feel really sharp, in my opinion, and it's really how long they last. So just to me anyway. Let me see. Somebody has the Stripology. The Stripology ruler looks so interesting to me. It's just so, it's really big. And whenever I see anybody using it, they're cutting and then they immediately go to the next number that they have, and I know I'm not going to math that fast. So I don't think I'd ever be able to cut as fast as I see people cutting with that ruler. So I don't really know what else to chat about, because I know we got to everything on our list, and I already talked about what video I'm going to be working on next, and the video that was last up was the collab one. Let me know if you watched that one. I really loved putting this quilt together, and I think I showed, if not, I'll show you again, but what inspired this one. So I think in the video, someone mentioned that they think the charm pack came in the Jenny's Countdown to Christmas box from a few years ago, and I think that might be right, but I really wanted to use this rainbow fabric in this quilt because I loved the rainbow look of the rain on this one, and this one I know was in a kit from Reb's Fab Stash, but the design is just a larger version of the rain through here, and I thought that was so pretty. I kind of wish on mine that I did a dark background like here, because I think it pops a little bit more, but I'm still happy with how this one turned out. I just didn't have any dark fabric enough to do the background dark here, and our whole challenge was to use what we had. So I went with just a bunch of different colors for the background. Not really a bunch, it was just 3, but it feels like a lot because there's so many different colors in here and then mixed up with the background. I think it came together nice though. I'm really happy with it. But what do you think? Should it have been a darker background? I don't know. I think it would have looked really good with a dark background too. Whoa, 5 blades for $3.38 on Temu. Might have to add that one in just to see. I'm gonna write that one down to look on there, because I would be curious as to how long they last on there, especially if you got 5 for $3.38. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought on the Stripology it just has the markings like on a regular ruler, so I'll have to look at it closer. For some reason, I thought see, I can never remember what I get from which box and everything. I thought that the Rainbow Charm Pack was from farther back. I thought I've had it longer. I know, Linda, I like to use black and darker colors a lot too, because it really makes colors pop. I used to stay away from it, and now I find I'm using black and those darker colors a lot more. So another vote for Temu. Huh. I would have never thought, but I guess something sharp is something sharp. Is there a particular brand on? I haven't shopped on Temu yet, but I don't know if I should look for a specific brand or just any that are on there. I'll look around and see. I heard that they have a lot of reviews on there, so I can look through those too and see. Oh, I did not know that Walmart has a version of the Stripology. I'll have to look at that too. I saw they had a new cutter at Walmart that I had never seen before. It kind of looks like what you would cut cardstock on. I have one for my Cricut where you can line it up and it has a blade that you slide across, and I could not figure out how that would work for fabric, but I was kind of curious about that one too. Sorry, I'm taking notes because I will never remember to come back and write down what I wanted to go look at. Deidre, you're funny. I know. I could go back and look and see when I got the charm pack. Okay, so any on Temu. Okay, so I will go look there too. That's a good idea. I didn't even think of that, because I've had a few people ask me if I would go try out some stuff from Temu and do a review. So that would be a fun way to do it that I think would be really useful. Oh, you're right, Chris. You have a much better memory than I do. Yeah, now I remember. And I probably, because I had no intention to do that project with all those applique tiny letters. So that was why I forgot when it came. So just look for the best price on Temu. I will do that. And let me know if there's anything else you want, because I probably won't just grab the rotary blade. So if anybody has been looking at anything else on Temu that I could go ahead and grab for a review, just let me know. Sylvia, Temu is kind of like, it's just an online site. Is it online or an app? I don't know. But you can just go and order a bunch of different stuff. And I think it's all supposed to be like a lower price to grab craft supplies. I think they even have clothes on there, just all kinds of stuff. I don't know what to compare it to. Maybe kind of like a Wish type thing. I haven't shopped on there either. I think it is all, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it is all like from China. So that hence the lower price of everything. And I think that's why a lot of people have been skeptical, because they want to know that the quality is really good. So I've had a lot of people ask if I would do a review on some different things from there. I think, no, I know Ian has a good video up where he reviews a bunch of kind of sewing related items that he got off of Temu. And I can't remember who else did, but I know I saw somebody else put one up too. So put in the comments who it was, because I know somebody else did a review as well. Yeah, I saw that there's fabric on Temu too, and I think that Ian got some. I think they were 10-inch squares. Ian is the off-kilter crafter Ian. So check out there. I know he reviewed a few things. I can't remember what all he reviewed, but I know he got some fabric, and I think some seam rippers. There's a few different things. I don't remember what all he did, but it was a really good video. I had a lot of fun watching it. He voted on each item saying whether it was Temu, like good, it was thumbs up, or if it was Temu or thumbs down, and he didn't like it. Chris, of course you finished that project. I think you finished all of them, and I loved that snowflake button project, and I still have all the stuff gathered together to work on it and have not. All right. Lessons learned. Okay, they did a review too. I knew a couple people did. So someone said that Temu, I don't know if you've heard of Temu, like where you can go buy stuff for really cheap.
Oh, no.
Somebody had mentioned they got like 5 rotary blades on there for like $3.
Well, I am partial to stuff made in America, so I assume if you can buy them for $3 for $5, they're probably
but
not
it'll
made
be
here,
still fun to review.
Yeah, I will. Look, I'm not saying stuff made everywhere else is bad. I'm just saying I'm partial to companies that do it.
Sometimes you just can't get the stuff you
I know.
need here.
It's really frustrating.
And then somebody said that, so Carol said the Idiot Quilter reviewed some of the Temu items too. So those are a couple places that you can check out and learn more about it before we get to our review on the rotary blades.
Okay, and I apologize. So to anyone, so my best friends and I, it's a little divergence here, but my 2 best friends and I try to chat as much as we can because we don't live anywhere near each other, and the last time we had a guy strip was like 2017. I think about it. So anyway, we're constantly trying to plan a guy strip. The problem is we all have different jobs, and 2 of us own our own companies, and the other one does a lot of odd jobs and such. And so we all think we have some time to go somewhere, and then I have a case that comes up, or Nico has something come up, or
you
Zach
have to build slide locks.
Right. So, anyway, but so we all know that we all work very hard, but they can call me up at 2 p.m. on a day, and I'll answer my phone. If it's one of those 2, they have a special ringtone. It gets answered unless I'm physically unable to, like I'm in court or something. And so we always joke with each other that do we actually ever work? Because we can reach each other whenever we want. And so it's like, if we really were working, then we shouldn't be able to get a hold of each other all the time.
I find this a little concerning because I'll text him and not get a reply. So
court.
Let me know what you think of that. I know you're not in court because I know you're in
my office. I have a lot of cases in California and New York, yeah. No, so maybe a month or so ago, I was on the phone with one of my friends, Nico, and I was on my cell phone. I'm in my office, and then I get a phone call on my office phone. I was like, "Hey, dude, I got to take this because it was a client. It was an emergency." And so I took it, and then literally 5 seconds after I got off the phone with him, he sends a group text, and he's like, "Holy crap! I just got confirmation." That my nickname, I'm not going to say it here, but I just got confirmation he actually has a job because he had to take a work call. So that was a work call. It doesn't matter that it's Saturday or that I'm trying to, have fun with you all.
Now they're all wondering, since all of your best friends don't think you actually work, why the trim locks aren't ready.
I promise I work. I promise. Just look up the court records. You can see all the appearances I've had to make. So I'm back now.
We're all done now.
My bad.
We're all chatted out. Everyone's fed up with me.
I'm just trying to look at the comments to see what's going on.
I think so too, Deidre. I think I should be on the list of my own special ringtone.
You have your own special ringtone.
What it is I'll text him and say something about, "Hey, I'm listening to this podcast and I want to know if this should have happened, like a legal type thing, and that's why I don't get a reply.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love talking legal stuff, but the legal stuff that you listen to is so far removed from the real world that it's like, and not to mention, a lot of the stuff that you listen to, they're like epics, right? Like, you can't just jump into the middle. You need to know 3 years of backstory before. And that's
yeah, because I'll ask him a question and he's like, well, did this happen? I was like, well, actually, and then I have to go back to the beginning and explain the whole thing. And he's
no one
like,
has time for that.
I love true crime stuff, though.
Yeah, and that's, I have clients that'll call me up. I had this happen this week, actually. A client called me up and said, hey, can I fire this employee? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, why do you want to fire this person? And they give me a reason. I'm like, okay, well, the long story short is non-lawyers call lawyers for issues all the time, and they think that we just somehow magically know everything about the history of, in this case, employment. I do a lot of consulting for companies where I tell them what they can and cannot do from an employment basis. And they just assume that I know the entire history. It's like, look, if this is the first time this has ever happened, no. Sure, you can fire him. You can do whatever you want. You're just going to get sued and you're going to lose. I'm good. I'm not that good. I can't, rewrite the law to say what you did was legal. But
I still think it's weird that if you want to fire someone, you can't just fire them.
It depends on what state you're in, and it depends on what the reason is. But yes, I agree. Generally, if you own a business, you can do whatever you want. But just be prepared for the repercussions when you break the law. So anyway, I do have a real job, I promise.
You have more than one.
I have 3. So, and next week's going to be even worse. I'm a college professor, and I'm finishing grading final papers in one class, and I'm teaching a summer school course, 2 summer school courses that I thought started in a week, but they actually start on Monday. Like, I thought I had a week off between classes, and I was wrong. No, Laura, lawyers know. So, funny story, Laura. I think it was my first day in law school, more than a decade ago, which also, by the way, is when I met one of my best friends. And that's a story for another day too. But short diversion, we had a class, we were talking about a Supreme Court case. I viewed it one way, many people viewed it very differently than I did. And this one kid in class who shared apparently the same exact view I did stands up, because that's what you do in law school, and was talking about why everyone else was wrong. And I was like, holy crap, this guy is reading my mind right now. So after that, I went up and we talked and then, became best friends. But my first day of law school, I am in class with the world's leading expert on bankruptcy law. And he's still the world's leading expert. And he's great on cross-border transactions because he's actually Canadian. He's an American citizen, but he's from Canada. So he's great with... Canadian bankruptcies are very different than American bankruptcies, and I deal with them both, and it's a mess. So good for him for being the expert. But long story short, someone asked him... So we're in contracts class, right? The class is called contracts. And at the end of the class, it was first class, so it was a jovial sort of atmosphere, and he said, hey, does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any legal questions they want me to answer? Somebody asked what I now know is a very basic question about torts, which is a different area of law, but it's, basically where you harm someone else, not criminally, right? So you commit a non-criminal battery or something of that nature. Point is, someone asked this world expert in the law a question. He's like, I have no idea how to answer that because I just don't know anything about it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you're telling me that I am at one of the best law schools in the world, and this is one of the best professors in the world, and he can't answer a basic legal question. Now, fast forward, more than 10 years later, and I'm like that all the time. People ask me questions. They're like, hey, what about this? I'm like, I have no idea. I do not practice that type of law. You need to go find yourself someone else to answer that. We do not know everything. And any lawyer that purports to know everything is lying to you because there's no possible way. The breadth of law is way too much.
And state by state.
And state by state, and even municipality by municipality. I've had 6 hand surgeries, so I've dealt with a lot of doctors. And I have several clients that are surgeons. I had one client, it went really well, and then I got a bunch of referrals. But I had like literally, I'm not even joking, like the number 3 heart surgeon in the world as a client, and he and I were having a conversation, and he saw the scars on my hand, and he asked me about it. Now, mind you, this is literally the 3rd best heart surgeon in the world, and I was trying to explain to him, what happened, and he had no idea what I was talking about. He had no idea about the anatomy of the hand. Like, I know more about the anatomy of the hand than he does, and he has a medical degree. But that's because he's not a hand surgeon. He's a heart surgeon, and the hand has nothing to do with what he does. So, lawyers are the same way. We all have our specialties. Nobody knows everything. And even in the stuff that I practice in on a daily basis, I still don't know everything. I had a client ask me something a couple weeks ago about something literally in my field of study, and I had no idea what the answer was because I'd never come across the issue. So I was able to find the answer because that's what good attorneys do, but we don't know anything.
Anything?
I mean, honestly, at this point, the way the laws are written, it doesn't really matter what the law says. The judge is going to do what the judge is going to do. Right? I mean, judges are the law, apparently, which is not how it should be.
That sounds comforting.
Yeah. People are talking about the trim lock. So, literally, they're throwing me under their bus. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. Yeah, anyone that has hand issues, the slide lock is great. I have a ton of hand issues, and, this is me. And anyone with arthritis knows, especially in the hands, and I'm assuming other places, but if you have arthritis in your hands, there are good weeks and there are bad weeks. This has been a horrible week for me. Like, I've just been in so much pain, and I've had no grip strength whatsoever. So even in my weakened state, just my thumb allows me to completely depress this. So you don't have to put a lot of pressure on this. And honestly, like I said, I usually use the pad of my thumb to hold it down. Because you can do this. It just seems really stupid. And honestly, this hurts my hand right now because my wrist is all contorted. You just do that, and then you're good to go. And your ruler won't move. So it'll be very good for you if you have hand issues. Even when you have bad weeks, like I have right now.
If you hand me the trim lock there, I'll show real quick just what it. This is already so. The trim lock is just a square here. It's going to be in a 2.5, a 3.5, and a 4.5 inch side. And you see it has a handle, and then it has some rubber grips on the bottom. So let me just show. These are already cut to size because they were for the quilt I was showing before. But what you'll be able to do is just set it on whatever fabric you're needing to trim, and then you'll be able to trim one side, turn it, trim another, turn it, trim another, turn it, and get it down to whatever size. Well, 4.5 inch, 3.5 inch, 2.5 inch to start with now. But it has diagonal markings on it so that you can get your, trim your half square triangles or hourglass blocks, or you could fussy cut with it, but just that's a sped up version of what the trim lock is.
Yes.
Thank you, Charlene. The collab was so fun. I thought the live was a lot of fun. Let me know if you caught that on Sew Becca's channel. If not, it is still up and you can watch the replay. And then Chris's video for the collab is up as well on Sew the Distance on YouTube. I cannot get the website I tried using to be able to put just a code in the chat like some people do that's all fancy, so that so I can link to other people's channels, but I need to figure that out because if you all remember that travesty of trying to do the giveaway.
Oh, that was so bad.
I thought I had it set up to work, but I don't know. I can't figure all that technology stuff out. He's really good at it, but he has no time to figure that out. So.
I don't know if that's true. Like my phone has been asking me to update it for like 2 days, and I can't get it to update. So I'm apparently not great with all the tech stuff.
We have to get one of the kids to do it.
Yeah.
They'd probably be able to do it.
Oh, I'm
really
sure.
quick.
I have no doubt.
My son likes to pick on me all the time because I'm not as bad now because I don't use my iPod as much as I used to, but I would bring it to him and I'm like, fix this because I have no idea why it's doing what it's doing.
Yeah. And so Laura, I answered in the chat, but the trim locks will be available as a set of 3, 4.5, 3.5, 2.5. I just don't have a date yet. My honest to God goal is to get them out as soon as possible. I just don't want to commit to a date because I've done that twice now and I've failed both times, and I don't want to continue disappointing everyone. So
yeah, if you're in my Facebook group, that'll be the easiest place for me to update when we know for sure that they'll be ready. I can also do a community post. I just don't know how often those are seen here on YouTube. But more than likely when they are ready, it'll be on a weekend chat that you probably know too, whether it be in the morning, afternoon, evening, who knows when we'll be able to get on.
So Ingrid, you know, I guess we're lucky in the sense that my wife has an entire room for quilting. So her slide lock is just stored on her cutting table, and we don't have to worry about a space. The same thing with the trim locks. The trim locks, well, as you can see here, they have a handle. The handle is, you know, screwed in and glued in. So conceivably,
that one's not glued in.
Well,
yet.
this one's not, but it shouldn't move. I don't know. You know, I could probably design a wall hanging to have these hang. You know, if you drop these from 10 feet, they conceivably should still be fine. Although if it lands on the edge, it may, you know, crack or may deform slightly so that you don't get a perfectly straight cut. As far as the slide lock, I have thought about a couple different ways to hang them. And I actually made a prototype for someone, and I need to follow up with her. Julie, I don't see you in the chat, but I made a prototype for someone who had some, well, I'm not going to throw her issues out there, but she was in a situation where she needed to store it in a special manner. So I put it together for her. I haven't actually followed up with her to find out if it's working. If it does work, it may be something that I can offer to everyone. It's additional work, and it's going to take some time to refine it to make sure it's perfect.
And material, because...
And material. So right now, the best advice I have is to store it flat on its surface like this to the extent that you can. There's springs in here, and if you hang it by the acrylic, I don't expect there to be any issues because this really, it's in tension, but it shouldn't be a problem. But I've not, I haven't tested it. I haven't hung it up for a week to find out if this will do anything. My suspicion is no, it won't, but it's also not engineered to do that, and so I can't guarantee that won't cause issues. I definitely would not, I recommend against, putting a loop in any of these holes and holding it, because then you're putting tension on it laterally as well as longitudinally, and that can cause some issues, again, simply because I haven't tested them. And I don't want anyone to really scratch up the base if they don't have to. So I wish there were a better answer as to how to store these. I know some of you may have like a mobile cutting area where you're using a kitchen dining table or something of that nature, and so you can't just leave it out all the time, and for that I apologize, but I don't have a solution yet other than telling you to just put it on the ground. Or not on the ground, but to put it on your cutting table to the extent that you can.
Use it as a door stop on the floor.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Oh, hey, Linda. It's nice to see you. I hope everything's going well in Oklahoma. And it is nice to see you, too. I forgot that you always have a sewing every Saturday. I know you told me about that, but I forgot.
Thank you, Glenda. Okay, well, that person needs to leave. Bye, whoever you are.
Yeah. I don't care what anyone's politics are. You guys can have whatever politics you want, but please don't bring them here. And I know none of you would normally do that. It's just a random person. Right? Like, one thing I've learned about being an attorney is that I come across people that have completely divergent political beliefs than I do. And it's fine because we can still get along because we can talk about the law or we can talk about anything. And in this case, we can all talk about quilting. So I don't want to know your politics. I don't want you to know mine. But please don't make political comments because I will delete them.
So let us know if you have any questions that we can answer, but we'll be hopping off soon because I want to make one last run to the UPS store. This will be my third for the day. But I like to try to get out as many packages as I can. And they're open till 5 today. So I would love to be able to get a few more out.
God, I hate FedEx.
And what did they do now?
Well, so I ordered something for my shop, and it was supposed to be delivered today, and I just got a notification that FedEx attempted delivery, but the business was closed. But they tried to deliver an hour and a half from here. That's not the address it's going to be delivered to. I do not live in Missouri City, Texas. What the hell are you guys doing? I really needed that for tomorrow. Bastards. I just... what is
Missouri
going on?
City. Probably they just didn't want to have to come over here because we live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so let us know if you have any more questions so we can make a run to UPS
before they close.
and drop off some more packages.
Yeah. And then if anyone, I know my wife wrote some comments or some suggestions down here, but if anyone has a favorite brand of rotary cutter blade, either put it in the comments or email us and let me know, because I would love to try them all out and find out what works best for us, at least, and hopefully help you.
Yeah, I know someone said they emailed us one that they get off of Amazon that they've liked, but
Oh, okay.
yeah. So we'll keep an eye out for that, and then I'll look on Temu and see what I can find on there. And if there are any other suggestions, we'll try to grab those too, or we can just look at reviews in different places.
Okay. So, great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. They could be Lori. I mean, it came from FedEx directly, so we'll see. All right. Thank you, everyone. And let us know if you have any questions. Email us, and we will talk with you next week.
All right, bye.